We're your hosts, Sally F. and Damon Phillips. We're here to help you rethink your money mindset, navigate family finances, and create financial peace without losing sight of what truly matters. It's a little bit practical, a little bit personal, and a whole lot of transformative. So grab your coffee, friend, because it's time to talk real life and real money. We're back.
Welcome back
to episode 6.
That's 1 after 5.
That's 1 after 5. So the obvious, we've got a box over here. You know, it's real life. We could clean it up, but tell me what we got going on.
We got a major renovation going on in the house as far as painting and changing up some furniture. So that big piece that usually is behind us has been loaded up and is headed to Louisiana for a young couple to start their life. So happy trails to it. That was heavy as hell to move.
The changing of the guard. And just consequently, when you look back on big purchases, furniture.
That was a big purchase.
It was a big purchase. We got tons of use out of it, years of use out of it, but
it no longer serves us.
It doesn't serve us, and nobody wants a china cabinet. There's your free tip of the day.
Do people even have china anymore, the young people?
This is probably why they don't want it.
I understand.
We digress. Emergencies. Let's talk about emergencies.
You mean like get off to the side of the road because people are coming behind you?
No, not that kind of emergency. Emergency funds when it comes to finances. So I did a little Google search and said, what constitutes a financial emergency? And job loss, job change, a health crisis.
I agree.
A new baby or an adoption.
It's not an emergency. I mean, that's a celebration, and it's not like it just snuck up on you. You knew it was coming, but
9 months.
But I think the change in lifestyle is probably especially if you talk to young mothers, they'll probably tell you that's an emergency. Just watching you. I remember you trying to feed and sleep and just life in general. It was
everything feels
tough.
Emergent in that stage. Yeah. Moving.
Hate it.
Family caregiving. Divorce, remarriage, major car or home repair.
We talked a little bit about this one. It's, I guess the context is probably the most important. I mean, major car repair, if you only got one car and you got to get to work, yeah, that or you got to find another way. But, these are all circumstances.
Sure.
That can and may end up happening. Knowing that, what you going to do?
Right. I don't know why this is triggered. About a year ago, we had a tornado here. Home repair, we had a lot of damage. And that deductible, wow.
That's what you signed.
And now I hear it's 2%. I hear you can't get a 1% policy anymore. Big chunks of money going out the door. Inflation spikes or interest rate changes.
No, those are just bumps in the road.
Bumps in the road. So let's talk about what's not an emergency.
Okay, you start.
What's not an emergency? Christmas. Christmas comes every December. That is not an emergency.
And it's not a shock.
No.
It's like, Christmas.
Yeah.
And what comes right after Christmas? On the 1st.
New Year's?
Yeah. New Year's
That's an expense.
No, but a lot of times people do like they're eating and all. There's no tomorrow. So I'm going to turn over a new leaf and change my finance. So I better spend up. And I don't know how they have money after Christmas.
New tires. To me, new tires always, I don't know if it felt like an emergency, but it's something I never want to spend money on new tires.
That's definitely an adult purchase.
It is. It's not fun. You don't get to see it. You just get to feel it and be safe. What about a new car? So say you have major car issues and you need a new car or even big car repair expense. No, you don't think that's an emergency?
Again, the context for me.
Yeah.
What is it in your life? Have you been putting it off? But no matter what happens, anything that's a surprise that's going to require money, I think you would agree that you got to have some type of an emergency fund set off to the side, ready to use for that reason. And it's not a lot of fun because that money's probably not going to be earning a lot of interest. And if it is, it's going to be minimal.
Sure, because it needs to be accessible.
Exactly.
So it's not in an investment account. It's in a money market or it's in a savings. Earning very little, but it's there for emergencies. Emergencies aren't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. They are going to happen. Tires are going to need to be replaced. Cars are going to need to be replaced. Repairs are going to need to be made. So talk to me, Damon, about what you think an emergency fund should be. And do we want to call it emergency fund? Savings? Yeah, I guess you could call it savings.
Slush fund, whatever your term is. I think it's twofold. I think you have to have money for an immediate emergency to where you could go People don't write checks anymore where you could Venmo or put it on a credit card and be able to pay it off, or your debit card. To me, you should have $1,000. That's what Dave Ramsey used to say, and that just became my benchmark of what I used. So I got a grand set to the side that I know I can get to. Even if I can't pay off the emergency, at least I can put a dent in it and not have to absorb whatever the entire cost is at one time.
And I would be curious, I don't know if there's Dave Ramsey fans out there, if he still recommends $1,000 emergency fund. That was 25-ish years ago.
Maybe a lot more. I mean, yeah. And then the second thing I would have is I would be able to have some type of savings to where you had mentioned, lost your job, or maybe you got in a car accident and can't work and you don't have unemployment insurance, different things like that. Guess what? Life's going to continue going on. So I always used to tell my clients that you need to have roughly between 3 and 6 months worth of living expenses or your budget set aside. And a lot of people will look at you like that's crazy money. If I had that kind of money, then I wouldn't have these other issues. I'm like, I get it. But as you're funding your savings, you can be kicking some of that money to the side and build up this. Again, it's not sexy. It's not fun. It's probably not going to earn you a lot of money. You could put it into a CD, for a short period of time. But the bottom line is, if something were to happen, you want to be able to readily access that money without either having to pay a penalty for getting it early or having to suffer any type of loss coming out of whatever investment vehicle that you have it in. Again, those two things are not a lot of fun, but they're there. And I used to have a friend of mine tell insurance is once you want to have when you don't need it, but when it shows up, you got to have it, and you're glad you do. And this is kind of your insurance covering yourself.
Sure. Initially you talked about $1,000. I know Dave Ramsey had always said whatever that benchmark is. Let's say it's 1,000. Let's say it's 2,000. And then his plan was always, and then you pay off all your debts before you then build that 3 to 6 months. Yeah. So that would be like, why would I have this versus that? And something that I don't think that ever gets addressed is, say you build that emergency fund, it sits there, right? And you've got this nice little cush sitting there. It's never fun. I don't know anybody who likes to spend it. You get used to having that there. Nobody wants to watch it go away. And then to be addressed is we got to replace it. So budgeting, the phrase budgeting with blinders off helps you weather the storm. Be realistic about what's coming, what's potentially coming, not to live in fear, but just to know what's coming. So we don't just feel the numbers. We might feel panicky. We might feel ashamed. How did this expense? How did I not see it coming? How did I not prepare for it? There might be blame. You spent all the money and now we don't have it and we really need it. There might be fear. And if you're married, the chances are you're going to feel it differently and therefore react differently.
I would say the best thing you can do when things like that happen is communicate. And, you can't assume that your partner's feeling the same way that you are, especially if you've been together for any period of time. You realize how your partner begins to react to different types of situations. But, sit down and just say, look, I get extremely anxious. That's just my go-to, that and anger. So I would say, okay, I'm getting anxious because this is something I can't control. I didn't foresee, and we got to take care of it. So this is where I'm coming from. Whereas you would say,
I like to hide or run away. I don't do it, but it's what I want to do. I want to shut down. I want to wish it away. None of which helps solve the problem. So just acknowledging where the other person is and then coming up with a plan together.
Right. And you've got a plan. You've got 5 steps that we do.
I do. So number 1, what happened? Like just an honest, just the facts without pointing blame. What happened? What just happened? And what's the impact? What's this going to do to our day-to-day living? That's number 1. Just pause and assess. Straight facts, though. The reason why I say straight facts is it pulls out the blaming. It pulls out the shaming. It's like you're going to, in a court of law, what happened? Straight facts. Number 2, communicate.
And I think that continues on from not only how you feel, but then how are we best going to address this situation together going forward.
If you listen to our past episode, we think communicating on a regular basis about your money, even if it's a weekly check-in, is the kind of thing where this would come up. It's like, okay, here's our weekly check-in. We had a big bump in the road. Let's talk about it. And if you have those weekly check-ins, this big bump in the road doesn't have to be something out of the ordinary. It doesn't have to be uncomfortable. It's just another weekly check-in. Even like a shared, here's where I'm coming from. Tell me where you're coming from. Just a chance to connect with each other on how you're feeling. And my all-time favorite is remembering that we're on the same team is always a great thing. We ultimately we want the same thing. Prioritize your essentials. What hasn't changed? We still have to eat. We still have to pay for mortgage or rent or whatever. Utilities, transport. Like here's our basics. Is there anything that we could stop? Could we stop going out to eat? Could we cancel? How many cable things do we have? Not do we even call it cable? Streaming services, I think is the word.
Yeah, streaming services.
Yeah. Are there optional things in our life that we'd be willing to set aside until we get back where we need to be and adjust the plan? Remembering that this is a temporary move. It's a temporary move to get us back where we were. And then we can go back to living. And how aggressively do we want to attack this plan?
That's the thing, is that you want to be able to pay it off, but at the same time, you end up putting so much pressure on yourself or stress, just thinking, okay, well, we have to do all of this. You know, no rule says that you have to pay it off in a day or in a month. Now, will you be paying some interest, or could you possibly be paying a little bit more? The answer is yes. So the question I would ask you is paying a little bit more going to give you at least a little sanity to where, or less stress in your home life to where you feel like you're drowning, to where it's like, okay, I can do this, but instead of paying it off in 3 months, it may take me 6, but that's doable for me. And I can live my life and I can still pay for all the things that as a family we need to pay for, and we can get this paid off. Again, that's not fun, but it's, you know, we always tell our kids that's the adulting thing to do. And being an adult isn't always fun, but you do it and you get back to your life the way you were living it, and it becomes a story. And when you look back on it, you know, it's a good story to have, but it's never fun when you're going through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing is, would you consider a little temporary side gig? Get you a little side hustle, find something that you have in the house, a piece of electronics, a piece of furniture, something you're not using that you could sell that would help throw some money that way.
Dave Ramsey used to say, go deliver
pizzas
for Domino's.
I do wonder. We should listen to him once in a while. I wonder now. I would think you could drive Uber, couldn't you?
Oh, there are a lot
Or
of
Lyft.
side gigs and hustles that you can do. The question is, you know, will you let yourself go do it? You know, sometimes that's a blow to the ego. It's like, man, I don't want to drive Uber. I don't want to DoorDash. I'm like, okay, then what are you going to do at home that's going to help you get out of this? Because it's not just going to go away.
No. And then just rebuilding, and I think Damon's already addressed it, rebuilding that slush fund, emergency fund, whatever, rebuilding it back slowly or in a pace that is comfortable for you.
That way, if something happens again, and it always does, that money is sitting there ready for you to use for that specific purpose.
Sure.
Sure is a lot better than putting down your credit card at 18% or whatever it is and having to pay that. That's a hope, and hope's not a plan. So
pay the whatever the cost is plus interest. As always, I'm going to tell you, celebrate your progress. Every $100, every $1,000, whatever it is, celebrate that. What does that look like? I don't know. Renting a movie, eating a pizza on the floor in front of the TV. Just something to commemorate that you're doing something right. Bonus if it doesn't cost extra money. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a flexible plan. And you can get through this remembering that you're working together. If you're in the middle of one of these curveballs, or you on the other side of one and you have a story to share, we'd love to hear it and talk about it on a future episode. Also, if there's things that you'd like to hear us talk about, question and answer, I think I'd love to see episode 10 be just Q&A. So if you have questions you want from us answered, I'm an open book.
I'm more audible than a book, but you can still ask.
Thanks for joining us.
Later.
Thanks so much for spending time with us today. If you know somebody who would benefit from this episode, we would love it if you shared it with them. And if you're listening on the Apple Podcast app, we'd love a 5-star rating and a review. If you're listening on Spotify, hit follow and tap that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribing's the way to go. If you're ready to take control of your money and your mindset, I offer one-on-one coaching to help you thrive financially and personally. We'll see you soon for another Real Life Money Talk.